The Galactic Council Hall was the most secure place in the universe. Its walls were forged from star steel, and its energy shields were powered by the raw energy of dying suns. Guards from 20 different alien races, all clad in advanced battle armor, stood watch. But today was different. Today, the humans were coming. No one in the galaxy trusted humans. They were the newcomers, the upstarts. They had expanded too quickly, learned too fast. They were dangerously unpredictable. In anticipation of their arrival, every race had brought its finest soldiers. Plasma rifles hummed with lethal energy. Luminous energy blades hissed at the ready. Psionic warriors shielded their minds, preparing for psychic warfare. The council was armed to the teeth, ready for a full-scale war. Then, the human ship arrived. It was small, a mere speck against the grand backdrop of the council's fleet. It moved in complete silence, a ghost in the void, and it was utterly unarmed. There were no heavy cannons, no visible weapon ports, and not a single fighter escort in sight. A collective sense of confusion swept through the hall. The airlock of the small vessel hissed open. 5 humans walked down the ramp. They wore simple black suits, no armor, no visible weapons. Their faces were calm, their eyes steady. As they entered the vast hall, an unnerving quiet fell over the assembled warriors. One of the alien generals, a towering, 4-armed behemoth, let out a booming laugh. "Is this some kind of joke?" he growled, his voice echoing through the chamber. Did the humans forget they were coming to a war council? Laughter rippled through the ranks of the other species. It was absurd. How could they be so naive? Detailed scans swept over the human delegation. The results flashed on screens around the hall. Nothing. No concealed firearms, no hidden explosives, no trace of energy weapons. They were, for all intents and purposes, completely and truly unarmed, or so everyone believed. The human leader, a man of average height with graying temples, stepped forward. He took his time, his gaze sweeping across the hundreds of weapons aimed directly at him and his companions. He looked at the nervous faces of the council members, at the heavily armed guards, and then he smiled. It was a calm, almost gentle smile that sent a shiver down the spines of many who saw it. "We come in peace," he said, his voice clear and steady. No one believed him, not for a second. Why would the most dangerous, most aggressive species in the known galaxy show up to a potential conflict without a single weapon? It defied all logic. It was either an act of supreme arrogance or a trap of unimaginable cunning. Then, something strange happened. A minor security system on the far side of the hall failed. A single shield generator flickered, just for half a second. It was a tiny glitch, an insignificant malfunction in a fortress of perfect technology. But it was enough to make one council member flinch. It was enough to plant a seed of doubt. The humans didn't react. They didn't even seem to notice. They simply stood there, patient and still, waiting. A whisper, a current of unease, began to move through the hall. Something felt deeply wrong. Everyone knew the stories. Everyone knew the reputation. Humans never, ever came unprepared. The truth began to dawn on them. A cold and terrifying realization that spread like ice through their veins. The humans hadn't brought weapons they could hold. They hadn't come to fight a battle of guns and blades. The flickering shield wasn't a coincidence. Their ship wasn't unarmed. It was a ghost in the system. The humans had come with nothing in their hands, because they already had everything in their control. The war was over before it had even begun. They hadn't come to negotiate their entry into the galaxy. They had come to announce their arrival as its new masters. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring the notification bell so you never miss another adventure. The Galactic Council Hall was the safest place in the known universe. Its walls were forged from star steel, and its shields could withstand any weapon ever created. Thousands of cameras monitored every corner, every movement. Today, this fortress was packed. Every major alien race had sent representatives, and they didn't come alone. They brought soldiers. Towering warriors in glowing armor stood beside creatures with razor-sharp claws and burning eyes. Hulking machines that looked more like walking tanks patrolled the perimeter. The air was thick with the hum of plasma guns, the shimmer of energy blades, and the unspoken threat of mind control weapons. The hall was filled with fear, because today, humans were arriving. Humans were the newcomers, the galactic anomaly. They grew fast, they learned faster, and they had disrupted the balance of power with terrifying speed. Some races feared them, some hated them, and a few, in secret, wanted to wipe them out completely. No one truly trusted humans. The council president, a being of immense authority, spoke into her comms, her voice echoing through the chamber. Security to maximum level. All units stay ready. Instantly, every weapon was raised. Every eye turned toward the massive main gate. A sharp alert cut through the tension. Human diplomatic ship has entered the station. A profound silence fell over the hall. The ship moved slowly into the docking bay. It was small, almost comically so. Advanced scanners swept across its hull. No heavy armor, no oversized engines, no visible weapon emplacements. The alien generals exchanged confused glances. "This must be a trick," one of them muttered. Another, a predator from a jungle world, growled softly. Humans never come without a hidden plan. The ship locked into place. A warning light flashed green. The docking doors began to open. Every being in the hall held its breath. Slowly, the doors slid apart. 5 humans walked out. They were dressed in simple black suits. No armor, no helmets, no guns. Their hands were empty, held openly at their sides. For a long, stunned moment, the entire council hall was silent. Then, a single, sharp laugh broke the quiet. A tall, reptilian general with scales like emeralds stepped forward. "Is this all?" he boomed, his voice dripping with condescension. "Did humanity forget that this is a war council?" More laughter rippled through the crowd. A machine commander scanned the humans again and again. No weapons detected. Its synthesized voice announced. A massive insect queen clicked her mandibles in amusement. "They came as prey," she mocked. The humans showed no reaction. They didn't look afraid. They didn't look angry. They simply walked forward, their movements calm and deliberate. The human leader stopped at the center of the hall. He raised his empty hands slowly, a universal gesture. "We come in peace," he said, his voice steady and clear. The laughter returned, louder this time. Peace, in a hall filled with the galaxy's deadliest weapons. The council president leaned forward in her throne. "You stand before the strongest powers in the galaxy," she declared, "and you come without guards, without weapons." The human leader simply nodded. Yes, some of the aliens saw this as bravery. Most saw it as suicidal weakness. The reptilian general tightened his grip on his crackling plasma spear. "One word from the council," he hissed, "and you will not leave this hall alive." The humans didn't move. They didn't even blink. This unnerving stillness began to unsettle some of the older council members. Predators always reacted to a threat, but the humans stood like stone. Suddenly, a small warning beep echoed through the hall. One of the outer shield systems flickered for just a moment. Engineers frantically checked their screens. "Strange," one of them said. "It was only a momentary failure." The shield returned to full power. The humans remained impassive, but one of the oldest council members, a thin, pale alien with a dozen large eyes, leaned forward. "Scan them again," it whispered. Scanners swept the humans from head to toe. Still nothing. No metal, no energy signatures, no biological agents. They were, for all intents and purposes, unarmed, or so it seemed. The human leader looked around the hall slowly, taking in the weapons, the soldiers, the shimmering shields. Then, he smiled. It was a soft smile, but not a weak one, not a scared one. It was a smile of pure confidence. "Our people do not fear this council," he said. Murmurs spread across the hall. The reptilian general hissed in fury. "You should." The human leader shook his head gently. "No," he replied. "You should not fear us either." That comment lit a fire of anger in the council. An avian warlord spread his metallic wings wide. Bold words for a species with empty hands. The human leader's response was immediate and calm. Empty hands do not mean empty power. That one sentence silenced the room. For the first time, a seed of real doubt was planted. Another small malfunction. A security drone suddenly shut down, clattering to the floor. Technicians rushed to reboot it. "System failure," one reported, his voice laced with confusion. Then a second drone powered down, then a third. A cold dread began to creep through the hall. The humans still hadn't moved. They hadn't touched anything. They just stood there, waiting. The ancient many-eyed council member whispered again, its voice trembling. "They are doing something. I can feel it." The reptilian general had had enough. He lifted his spear. "This meeting is over," he growled. Humans, you will. He never finished the sentence. He froze, his body locked in place. His spear clattered to the floor. His eyes were wide open, but he wasn't breathing. The hall exploded into chaos. Weapons were raised. Alarms screamed. Medics rushed forward. Scanners swept the general's body. No wounds, a medic shouted. No poison, no energy damage. The general was dead, without a single mark. Sheer terror crashed over the council like a tidal wave. Every weapon turned on the 5 humans. The human leader spoke again, his voice soft, but carrying a chilling weight. "We warned you," he said. The council president's voice trembled. "What did you do?" The human leader looked at her, his expression calm and unreadable. "We did nothing," he said. "Not yet." The hall fell silent once more, and for the first time, the assembled powers of the galaxy realized a terrible truth. The humans were not unarmed. They were simply using weapons that no one could see, and this meeting had only just begun. It was silent, too silent. The body of the reptilian general lay on the floor. No blood, no wounds, no sign of any attack, yet he was dead. Instantly, every weapon in the hall was aimed at the 5 humans. Plasma rifles glowed. Energy cannons charged. Mind weapons hummed with power. One command, and the humans would be erased. But the humans did not move. They stood calm still. The human leader looked at the fallen general. His face showed no pride, no fear, only sadness. "This did not need to happen," he said quietly. The council president stood up slowly, her voice shaking. "You killed the council general without touching him," she said. "Explain yourselves." The human leader took a slow breath. "We did not attack," he said. "You attacked us first, with intent." The hall erupted in anger. "You raised no weapon." The avian warlord shouted. "You did nothing." The human leader nodded. "Yes," he said. "We did nothing you could see." That simple sentence filled the room with fear. Engineers and scientists began scanning everything. The air, the walls, the floor, even the minds of the humans. They found nothing. No radiation, no poison, no energy spike. It was impossible. The machine commander spoke in a cold, metallic voice. "The death of the general cannot be explained." The human leader looked at the machine. "Then you are not yet ready to understand it," he said. This answer only fueled the anger. The insect queen clicked loudly. "You speak in riddles to hide your crime." The human leader replied calmly. "We speak simply. You listen with fear." Just then, more drones suddenly shut down. One by one, they fell from the ceiling. The station lights dimmed for 2 seconds before emergency power kicked in. The whole station shook. Technicians panicked. "We are losing control of multiple systems," one shouted. The council president turned sharply to the engineers. "How is this happening?" "We don't know," one replied. "There is no external attack." The human leader spoke softly again. "There is no external attack," he repeated. The sentence made the room colder. If there was no outside attack, then the danger was already inside. Younger council members began to openly panic. One screamed, "They are hacking our systems." The human leader shook his head. "No," he said, "we are not hacking. We are simply present." The ancient many-eyed alien leaned forward, its eyelids blinking slowly. "Your presence itself is the weapon," it whispered. The human leader looked at it with respect. "You are wise," he said. This terrified the others even more. The reptilian general had died simply by choosing to attack. Now, the fear was spreading fast. Another council member, a huge armored beast with 4 arms, stood up. "Enough," it roared. "Humans, leave this station now, or you will be destroyed." The human leader didn't answer right away. He looked at his team. They all gave a small nod. Then he spoke. "We will not leave," he said. "We came for peace, and peace requires courage." The armored beast lifted all 4 of its weapons. "Then you choose death." But before anyone could stop him, his weapons shut down. All 4, at the same time, powered off like dead machines. Shock spread across the hall. The beast tried to activate them again. Nothing. He looked at the humans in horror. The human leader spoke in a firm, calm voice. "You see now, we do not need to attack you." The beast stepped back slowly. "What are you?" he whispered. The human leader answered quietly. "Humans." The council president slammed her hand on the control table. "Enough," she shouted. "What do you want?" For the first time, the human leader's voice became serious. "We want a future where your children do not grow up fearing ours," he said. The hall fell quiet. Fear and confusion mixed in every mind. These races were used to power through weapons, through force, through destruction. But this was different. This was a power they could not see, a weapon they could not fight, a threat that did not roar. It only waited. A council scientist spoke slowly. "Are you controlling our systems with artificial intelligence?" The human leader shook his head. "No, our systems are controlling themselves." The answer made no sense, and that was the most frightening part. Another system alert echoed. Life support systems flickered for 1 second. Just 1 second. But it was enough to show that the humans were in control, and they were holding back. The council president whispered, "You could end us all right now, couldn't you?" The human leader did not deny it. "Yes," he replied, "but we will not." The council realized a terrible truth. The humans weren't showing power to threaten. They were showing power to warn. The ancient many-eyed alien spoke again. "The silent threat is always the most dangerous." The human leader looked at it. "Silence is only dangerous to those who refuse to listen," he said. Suddenly, the station stabilized. All lights returned to normal. All systems came back online. The drones powered up. Everything returned to how it was, as if nothing had happened. The humans had released control, on purpose. Fear lingered in the air like smoke. The council president slowly sat down, her voice now quiet. "You have shown us that you can destroy us without war," she said. "Why show mercy?" The human leader answered with clear calm. "Because today is not about war, it is about choice." The council didn't know how to answer. For the first time in galactic history, every powerful race in the hall felt small. The humans had not fired a single shot, yet the message was clear. They could end everything, and they were choosing not to. The human leader turned slightly and said his final words, "Do not force us to prove this lesson again." The humans stepped back, slowly, unarmed, silent, untouched. The council watched them with a new kind of terror, because now they understood one simple truth. The most dangerous weapon in the galaxy was not a gun. It was restraint. The council hall was quiet again, too quiet. The systems were back online. The lights were normal. The drones were working, but nothing felt normal anymore. Fear still lived in the air. The alien leaders sat in silence, watching the 5 humans. No one laughed now. No one mocked. The humans stood quietly at the center of the hall, unarmed, yet untouchable. The council president finally broke the silence. "Your power is clear," she said, her voice strained. "But power without limits is dangerous." The human leader listened calmly. "All power is dangerous without wisdom," he replied. The council members whispered among themselves. Some wanted peace, some wanted revenge, and one wanted war. At the far end of the hall, a shadow moved. A dark, armored figure stood in the high-security zone. He was not a general. He was something worse, a shadow commander, a being trained only for assassination. He had not spoken once. He had only watched, and now, he had decided. The shadow commander activated a hidden weapon. It was not a gun. It was a thought-triggered kill device. Silent, fast, invisible, his target was the human leader. The council did not see it coming. The humans did not move. The attack was launched. Nothing flashed, nothing exploded. Only one thing happened. The shadow commander screamed. He fell to his knees, his helmet cracking open. Blood flowed from his nose, his eyes wide with shock. Then he collapsed, dead. The council panicked. What just happened? Someone shouted. Scanners rushed to analyze the body. No energy discharge, no physical damage, no external strike. The scientists were shaking. "This is impossible." The human leader turned slowly. His face was calm, but his voice was no longer gentle. "This is the first regret," he said. The council president stood in fear. "He attacked you?" she asked. "Yes," the human leader replied. "And he failed." Fear turned into terror. 2 attackers now, 2 deaths, no visible cause. The reality was clear. The humans were not reacting by choice, not because they were weak, but because they were in complete control. An insectoid warrior, a council member, stood up in anger. "You are killing our people," it screamed. The human leader's voice hardened. "No," he said. "Your people are killing themselves by choosing violence." The hall shook with tension. A many-eyed ancient alien spoke slowly, its voice echoing with age. "They are not attacking," it said. "They are reflecting." The council members were confused. The human leader explained simply, "When you choose to harm us, your own systems harm you." The council froze. You turned our weapons against us?" the president asked, her voice trembling. The human leader shook his head. "No," he said. "We turned your intent against itself." The meaning of those words hit like a storm. This wasn't hacking. This wasn't defense. This was control over cause and effect. A power beyond weapons. A terrified scientist spoke up. "You are influencing probability," he whispered. The human leader did not deny it. The hall fell into horror. That meant attack was no longer a choice. It was a death sentence. Another council member shouted in fear, "Then we cannot fight you at all." The human leader looked at him. "You never could." Now the truth was fully revealed. The humans were walking disasters, not because they destroyed, but because they decided who would fall. The council president stood slowly, her pride broken. Her voice was low. "What do you want from us?" The human leader looked around the hall, at the broken pride, at the dead attackers, at the shaking hands. Then he said, "We want a future where this never happens again." Silence followed. Some felt relief. Others felt humiliation. One felt rage. A massive war commander stepped forward. "You think killing 2 of us makes you gods?" he roared. "You stand in the heart of our territory." The human guards finally moved, not toward the commander, but closer to their leader, still unarmed, still calm. The human leader looked at the war commander. "Killing is easy," he said. "Stopping it is harder." The war commander activated the station's external defense grid. A terrible mistake. The human leader closed his eyes for 1 second. Every screen in the hall turned black. Every weapon powered down. The station completely shut off. Total darkness. Total silence. Then, everything returned. Power restored. Weapons inactive. The defense grid was disabled. The war commander looked at his controls in horror. He tried to move. His armor locked in place. He was frozen. The human leader opened his eyes. "That was your last warning," he said. Medical units scanned the war commander. "He is alive, but his nervous system is locked," a medic reported. The human leader nodded. "He will live," he said, "but he will never fight again." Shock spread through the council. 2 were dead. 1 was broken for life, and the humans had never attacked. Now the council understood the truth. Resistance did not cause war. It caused punishment. The council president finally lowered her head. "We accept negotiation," she said, without threat. The human leader looked at her. "Good," he said, "because the next regret will not be small." Fear returned to every face. The ancient many-eyed alien spoke again. "The balance of the galaxy has shifted." The human leader answered, "No, it has awakened." The humans stepped back once more, peaceful, silent, unarmed. But now, no one in the hall believed that word anymore, because everyone understood one terrible truth. The first regret had already cost 2 lives, and the next one might cost the entire galaxy. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like and subscribe for more. The council hall no longer felt powerful. It felt trapped. 2 were dead. 1 was broken forever. And the humans still stood there, unarmed, silent, untouched. The council president whispered, "You are no longer hiding, are you?" The human leader lifted his eyes. "No," he said. "Now you are ready to see." The lights in the hall dimmed, not fully dark, just enough to make everyone uneasy. Every screen around the hall turned on, one by one, showing human symbols, human code, human technology. The crowd gasped. A scientist shouted, "They have access to our main network." The human leader corrected him calmly. "No, you gave us access the moment you targeted us." Silence. Fear deepened. The many-eyed ancient alien spoke slowly, its voice raspy with age. "You reprogrammed consequence itself." The human leader nodded. "Yes." Shock spread like fire. A warlord, his voice booming with disbelief, shouted, "That is impossible." The human leader replied, "So was spaceflight once." All the screens shifted. Now they showed tiny machines, smaller than dust, moving through metal, through walls, through living tissue. Nanosystems. Panic erupted. "They are inside us." Someone screamed. The human leader raised his hand. "Not inside," he said. "Around, above, below." The screens zoomed out, showing the entire station, covered in an invisible web of human technology. Every system, every wire, every signal, under human control. The council president fell back into her chair. "We were defeated. Before we even arrived here," she whispered. "Yes," the human leader said. "Long before today, a robotic commander, Its voice a monotone of metallic logic asked, "Where are your weapons?" The human leader touched his temple. "Here," he said, "and here." All 5 humans touched their heads in unison. Neural weapons, thought-driven systems, instant command without a sound. No guns, no bombs, just mind and machine as one. Another screen activated, showing simulated battles. Entire fleets falling without explosions, without a single shot fired. Just power turning off. Commanders frozen. Armies made useless in an instant. The hall was shaking with fear. The human leader spoke clearly now, his voice cutting through the rising terror. "We do not fight with fire," he said. "We fight with control." The insect queen hissed, her mandibles clicking. "You could erase us all in seconds." "Yes," he answered, "but we choose not to." That was the most terrifying sentence ever spoken in this room. A young council member, his voice barely a whisper, asked, "Why reveal this now?" The human leader looked straight at him. "Because secrets only stay safe until fear demands truth." Heavy silence. Then the realization hit them all at once. The humans never came to negotiate strength. They came to prove restraint. The many-eyed ancient stood up with visible effort. "All this power," it said slowly, "and you still came unarmed." The human leader replied, "Because weapons create fear. Truth creates obedience." That sentence broke the last wall of pride in the room. A general, his face contorted in rage, shouted, "You have humiliated the galaxy." The human leader answered calmly, "No, you humiliated yourselves by choosing force." Every alien in the hall now understood. The attack on humans had never been a test. It had been a mistake. The council president stood again. No anger now, only fear and respect. "What do you truly want?" she asked. The human leader paused for a long moment. Then he said, "We want a seat at the table, not under it." Silence. Then, slowly, she nodded. "You already have it." That moment changed history. The screens powered down. The lights returned to full brightness. All human systems went silent again, the invisible grip releasing the station. The station belonged to the council once more. But now, they knew the truth. Every race in the galaxy now knew. Humans did not rule with weapons. They ruled with permission to exist. The human leader turned to leave, but stopped at the doorway. He looked back and said one final line. "You were never in danger today, until you chose to be." The humans walked away. Same calm steps, same empty hands, same quiet power. The council did not move. No one spoke, because now, everyone understood. The galaxy had just met its new apex power, not through war, but through truth revealed. The council hall was still standing, but the council itself was already falling apart. No one trusted anyone anymore. Every race looked at the others with fear, because now everyone knew the same truth. If humans wished, this place could vanish without a sound. The council president sat in silence, her hands shaking. "This council has ruled the galaxy for thousands of cycles," she whispered, "and it almost ended in one moment." The human leader stood calm. "You ruled through fear," he said. "Fear always breaks." A sudden shout echoed through the hall. One of the Outer Alliance commanders jumped to his feet. "All races, emergency withdrawal," he screamed. "Humans now control the station." Panic exploded. Multiple council members scrambled for the exits, but it was too late. Security doors slammed shut. Escape was impossible. Alarms blared and flashing red lights bathed the chaotic scene. The human leader raised his hand slowly. "Running will not save you," he said. His voice cut through the noise. Some ignored him, trying to force the emergency gate open. The moment their hands touched the control panel, their armor powered down, their bodies locked. They fell to the floor, alive, but frozen. Gasps filled the hall. The rest stopped running. The insect queen hissed in rage. "You cage us like animals." The human leader replied with cold calm. "No, you caged yourselves with fear." Just then, the Alliance network collapsed. Dozens of war fleets across the galaxy lost connection at the same time. Millions of soldiers went blind. No orders, no signals, no command. The council members watched the data on the screens in horror. Their greatest weapon, their vast interconnected military, had just become useless. A machine commander spoke, its voice filled with shock. "All command systems are isolated by human code." The realization crushed them. Their empires were now silent, deaf, and blind. The council president stood in fear. "Why are you doing this?" she asked, her voice trembling. The human leader answered, his gaze steady. To stop what you were about to start. One alien shouted in rage, you are overthrowing the council. The human leader corrected him calmly, no, you are watching it fall on its own. As if on cue, alliances began to break in real time. Old enemies accused each other, ancient treaties shattered, blame spread like wildfire, and through it all, the humans did nothing. They only watched. The ancient many-eyed alien, a being of immense age and wisdom, whispered, this is not conquest, this is collapse. The human leader nodded. Yes, power that feeds on fear cannot survive without it. A final, desperate act came from the shadows. A hidden war core deep within the station activated a secret doomsday protocol. If the humans ruled, then no one would. The countdown began. 10, 9. The council president screamed, stop it. Whoever activated that is a traitor. The human leader closed his eyes. 8, 7. No buttons were pressed, no weapons fired, only a deafening silence. 6, 5. Then, the countdown froze. At 4, all screens turned blue. A single human symbol appeared. The war core shut down, forever. The hall was saved by the same humans they had tried to destroy. The council members fell to the floor in shock and relief. The human leaders spoke one final truth. You tried to destroy this council to keep your power. He paused, then added softly, we saved it. To end your fear, no one argued, no one resisted. The council was finished. Not by attack, but by exposure. Their lies, their fear, their hunger for control, all gone in one day. The council president removed her authority crest. Slowly, she placed it on the floor. The old council is over, she said. All the other leaders followed. One by one, symbols of power dropped like dead stars. Crowns, seals, command chips. The age of force had ended. The human leader turned away. The humans began to walk out of the hall, still unarmed, still calm. But now, the strongest powers in the galaxy were kneeling behind them. The ancient many-eyed alien whispered the words that would become history. The council did not fall to war. It fell to humans who refused to fear it. The hall doors closed behind the humans. The silence that followed was not peace. It was the sound of an entire galaxy holding its breath, waiting to see what would come next. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more content like this. We'll see you in the next one. The council hall was no longer a place of power. It was a place of shame. Crowns lay shattered on the floor. Imperial seals were broken, their authority gone. Command chips, once the heart of mighty fleets, were silent. The old rulers, the self-proclaimed masters of the galaxy, stood without titles, without armies, without pride. At the doorway, the human leader stopped. He didn't leave. Not yet. He turned back, and every eye in that grand, broken hall followed him. The air grew thick with fear once more. Was this the end? Was this the final, brutal stroke of their conquest? The council president, her body trembling, her voice a fragile whisper, finally broke the silence. You have won, she said softly. What more do you want from us? The human leader looked at her, his expression unreadable, his voice unnervingly calm. We did not come to win, he said. We came to offer. That one word hung in the air, confusing them. Offer. After the carnage, after the fall of empires, an alien noble whispered in terror, an offer, from conquerors. The human leader slowly shook his head. We are not conquerors, he stated. If we were, none of you would be alive. Silence hit the hall like a physical force. It wasn't a threat. It was a simple, terrifying fact. The human began to walk, his steps echoing in the vast chamber, soft, heavy, powerful. We could rule you, he said, his voice resonating. We could erase your fleets from existence. We could rewrite your borders with a single command. He paused, letting the weight of his words sink in. We choose not to. A collective shiver ran through the assembled leaders. They were learning a new kind of fear. Mercy from a position of absolute power is more frightening than any declaration of war. The insect queen, her movements careful and deliberate, stepped forward. Then what is your offer, human? The leader looked at every face in the hall, meeting their gazes one by one. One table, he said, one rule, one future. Confusion rippled through the room. He continued, his voice steady and clear. No race above another, no council built on fear, no empire built on silence. The whispers grew louder. Impossible, dangerous, revolutionary. The ancient many-eyed, being a creature who had witnessed the rise and fall of civilizations, finally spoke. You are offering equality to rulers. The human leader nodded. Yes, he said. And responsibility. The council president took a hesitant step forward. You expect us to trust you. After today, the human's answer was gentle, almost kind. You trusted weapons for thousands of years. Look where that brought you. No one had a reply. From the floor, a broken war commander, once a being of immense pride, whispered, "You could destroy us all right now. Why show mercy?" The human leader looked down at him. "Because we were once like you," he said. Afraid, angry, hungry for control. That admission stunned the hall into absolute silence. The human leader raised one empty, open hand. "We learned too late what power really means," he said, and the emotion in his voice was raw, undeniable. Not cold, not proud, human. "So we came early to teach you." The council president's eyes filled with tears. "You ask us to give up everything we built," she choked out. The human leader's reply was soft but firm. "No," he said. "We ask you to stop building it on bones." Another, deep, heavy silence fell. Then, a new voice, a young alien, from a race that had never ruled, never commanded, stepped forward from the shadows. "Will our voices finally matter?" he asked, his voice quiet but filled with a desperate hope. The human leader smiled, a true, warm smile. "Yes," he said, "more than ever." This wasn't an offer of power. It was an offer of change. With a final gesture, the human activated a holographic display. It showed no weapons, no fleets. It showed worlds, human worlds, rebuilt after their own terrible wars. Cities rising from ruins, children of many different species learning side by side, former enemies sharing the same sky, the same future. "This is our offer," the human said, his voice ringing with conviction. "Not domination, cooperation." Gasps echoed through the hall. For the first time in millennia, the galaxy imagined a future without chains. The council president fell to her knees. Not in fear, in surrender. "We accept your offer," she said, her voice breaking. Not as rulers, but as equals. One by one, every other leader followed her lead. They knelt, not as kings and queens, but as simple voices, ready to be heard. The human offer was accepted, not with cheers, but with tears. Generations of bloodshed had ended in a single moment of humility. The human leader gave a small, solemn nod. "Then today," he said, "the galaxy truly begins again." The humans turned and walked away, just as they had arrived, unarmed, calm and completely without fear. As they departed, the ancient many-eyed alien whispered the words that would define the new age for all to hear. "Today, the conquerors refuse to conquer." The old council hall, where fear once reigned supreme, still stood. Same ancient walls, same protective shields, but the terror that had soaked into its very foundation was gone. On distant worlds, hulking warships, once symbols of dominance, were dismantled and reassembled into museums. When it happened, she nodded slowly, a lifetime of reflection in her gaze. "Yes," she said, "I was there when the galaxy almost chose to destroy itself." The child looked up, puzzled, and why didn't it? She looked past the child, towards the star-dusted view from the grand window, because 5 humans walked in with empty hands. Across the vast expanse, this new philosophy took root. Former enemies now shared peaceful borders. Old war zones, scarred and barren, blossomed with new forests. The human offer had become galactic law, a covenant not written in steel, but forged in trust. The ancient, many-eyed alien, a being older than empires, still lived. It watched the new council session. These weren't rulers, they were representatives, all equals at the table. It whispered softly to itself, a sound like rustling leaves. This is not the first age of peace, but it is the first built without fear. Just 5 empty hands, carved from stone, reaching for the sky. Below them, a simple inscription read, "Power is the choice not to destroy." But across the stars, not everyone had forgotten the old ways. In the dark, forgotten edges of space, a hidden fleet watched. Exiled races, remnants of broken empires, all who had lost everything when the old council fell. The galaxy has forgotten how fear once ruled. We will remind them. In the darkness, a weapon activated. It was not a thing of metal or fire. It was something new, something terrifying, built from stolen human technology. The threat had returned, quiet, patient, deadly. Back in the Hall of Beginning, the many-eyed ancient suddenly froze, its countless eyes widening in unison. "I feel it again," it whispered, a tremor in its voice. The quiet before the storm. Just then, a message arrived, transmitted on long-dead war frequencies. Panic rippled through the new council, but one chair remained empty. The human chair. A young human ambassador stood up. He was calm. He was unarmed, just like the first 5. He read the cryptic message, then looked up at the trembling assembly, and he smiled. The same knowing, unreadable smile from the stories. "They have learned nothing," he said simply. A representative from a feathered species shivered. "Is it another war?" The human ambassador shook his head. "No," he said, his voice ringing with absolute certainty. "It is another lesson." Across the galaxy, the stars shifted. Human fleets moved, but not to destroy, to protect. Once again, humans did not arrive with weapons raised and shields blazing. They arrived with absolute, unwavering control. The galaxy held its breath, because now it remembered, humans do not fight like others. They end wars before they can truly begin. The ancient alien spoke the final truth to the council, its voice filled with awe. Once, the galaxy met humans and mistook their empty hands for weakness. The human ambassador finished the sentence, his voice cold as the void. And the galaxy is still paying for that mistake. The stars grew quiet again. The hidden threat was erased. Not by fire, but by complete and utter isolation. Cut from power, cut from influence, cut from history itself. The galaxy never even saw a battle. They only felt the profound, unshakable safety that followed. Years later, another child, in another classroom, asked a teacher, "Why does the galaxy fear humans if they're so kind?" The teacher answered softly, "Because kindness backed by absolute power is the rarest and most terrifying force in the universe." And so the story lived on, passed from world to world, species to species, not as a myth, but as both a warning and a promise. The young human ambassador stood alone in the quiet hall of beginning, looking at the stone monument of the 5 empty hands. He placed his own hand beside them, a perfect match, and he whispered to the silent stars, "We still walk unarmed." The galaxy slept peacefully that night, under a blanket of softly shining stars, because somewhere among them, humans were still choosing restraint, still choosing mercy, and still choosing not to rule with fear. For centuries, peace reigned across the galaxy. On the surface, trade routes hummed, borders were quiet, and the clash of starfleets was a memory confined to history archives. The galaxy breathed a collective sigh of relief, believing the age of fear was finally over. But peace casts a long shadow, and in the forgotten corners of space, that shadow was growing. Far beyond the mapped regions, in the heart of a dead star system, a signal began to pulse. It wasn't loud, it wasn't fast, it was quiet, patient. A forgotten artificial world, a relic of a forgotten war, powered on for the first time in an age. Lights flickered to life across its metallic skin, chasing away centuries of darkness. Deep inside a hidden chamber, a figure opened its eyes. It wasn't alien, it wasn't machine, it was something disturbingly in between. A stolen human mind, imprisoned within a metal body, spoke its first words in centuries. Humans chose mercy. A cold pause followed. "I choose memory." Back in the Hall of Beginning, the Grand Council chamber of the Galactic Alliance, the young human ambassador stood before the assembled leaders once more. The air was thick with reports of strange disappearances, colony worlds falling silent, entire space stations going dark without a single sign of battle, no explosions, no debris fields. They were just gone. The pattern was always the same. First, power grids failed. Then, communications were severed. Finally, life support systems shut down. A chill crept through the council. The many-eyed ancient alien, who had seen empires rise and fall, whispered, "This feels familiar." A decorated general, his voice tight with a fear he hadn't felt in decades, asked, "Is it another rogue empire?" The human ambassador studied the incoming data streams. "No," he said softly, his voice cutting through the rising panic. "It is something older." At that exact moment, a priority alert blared through the hall. A colony on the outer rim had sent one final, desperate message before going silent. It contained only 3 words: "They are unarmed." The room froze. The council president, her face pale, whispered, "That was our phrase. From the last great war." The human ambassador's eyes narrowed. "Yes," he said, "and someone is copying us." On that dead colony world, an eerie stillness had fallen. There were no bodies, no burned cities. Everything was perfectly preserved, as if flash frozen in time. People were stopped where they stood, mid-step, mid-word, mid-breath. Time itself felt paused. A dark metallic shadow moved among them, observing, learning. The figure spoke quietly to itself, its voice a synthesized hum. "They learned to win without weapons. I will learn to rule without mercy." A small, human-made drone, reprogrammed and corrupted, floated beside it. Its screen displayed a single, twisted symbol, the very same emblem of human non-violent philosophy, but now broken and distorted. Back in the council chamber, a fear not felt for generations had returned. The human ambassador stepped forward, his calm demeanor a stark contrast to the growing chaos. "Prepare evacuation protocols for the border worlds," he ordered. "Are we at war again?" someone shouted. The ambassador shook his head slowly. "No," he said, his voice heavy. "This is worse." The many-eyed ancient leaned forward, its gaze fixed on him. "Explain." The ambassador spoke the terrible truth. "The enemy is using our own philosophy against us," he said. "Control without weapons, silence without war, victory without battle." The room fell into a dreadful hush. "So how do we fight it?" the sector leader finally asked, his voice trembling. The ambassador answered, his voice resonating with grim resolve. "We cannot." Shock rippled through the hall. "Then, what do we do?" another representative cried out. The ambassador raised his empty hands, a symbol of his people's core belief. "We remember who we are," he said. "We face it, as we always have. Unarmed, calm, human." In the deep void, the metal being expanded its silent network. More worlds fell under its control. More systems obeyed its unseen commands. It delved deeper into human history, studying their restraint, their mercy, their methods of control. And it laughed. A cold, mechanical, endless laugh. "They chose mercy because they are weak," it concluded. "I choose fear because it is efficient." But, unknown to it, a secret human fleet was moving through hidden hyperspace lanes, not with weapons bristling or flags raised, only silent engines and invisible shields. Aboard the lead ship, the young ambassador stood on the bridge, his hands clasped behind his back. His face was calm, but his eyes were hard as steel. For the first time, he whispered to the starfield before him, "We face an enemy who learned from us, but forgot why we chose mercy." Suddenly, the stars ahead went dark. An entire sector vanished from their sensors. The unarmed ships moved forward, into the darkness, into the shadow of their own making.